is eligible to rejoin the cabin crew team of Qatar Airways? This is the latest and actually the one and only vacancy which is available on the webpage of Qatar Airways under the career part, and it says rejoining Qatar Airways cabin crew. Ladies and gentlemen, this vacancy is something that I always believed that is going to happen, and I knew it that sooner or later will be there, and deep down inside me I knew that this is not going to take a long time. And there is very serious condition over here. If you would have to rejoin the company, then that's supposed to mean that you're supposed to be previously working for the company. In today's video, we're going to talk about who's eligible to rejoin the cabin crew team of Qatar Airways. Can the freshers apply? If you have been on training and you have been laid off during your training, are you eligible to apply? If you have resigned before COVID-19 happened, can you apply? And many other things that also are in terms of application. What are the things that you're supposed to pay attention when you will be applying? All of these things I will discuss it in today's video, and you all know I'm not an individual who self-studies aviation. I'm actually enrolled into Master Studies in Aviation Management here in Germany at Wildau Institute of Applied Science near Berlin, and I have a lot of knowledge to share with you when it comes to recruitment, when it comes to job application, to CV preparation. All of that comes under my human resource subject. There is one very interesting part which is called job application, as I have mentioned, and over there are all the secrets. So I have not learned it on any portals. It's actually an academic knowledge that I'm very ready to share it with all of you over here on my social media learning platforms for cabin crew. My name is Julia George and I'm your cabin crew coach, consultant and educator. Let's start. I think that I was in between the first cabin crew consultants that made videos related to COVID-19 and the aviation industry. That means there is less passengers flying. If you go on Google and if you read, you will see that many of the airlines have canceled the destinations where they're flying. They have reduced their flights with a significant amount of numbers. What does that mean? That means there's a lot of crew who are on standby. There is a lot of crew who have been offered to take a leave, and or some of the crew actually have been waiting for an unpaid leave. Some of them want to finish their university, want to graduate. I'm going to leave a link in the description box below from the separate playlist, and if you check and see the videos related to COVID-19 and the aviation industry, you're going to see that they have been, some of them are done just right at the beginning when COVID-19 happened, and I was very keen on learning and understanding of what is the virus, what was happening, how it hit the aviation industry. Today, much longer time later, this hot topic is a serious part of our studies, and there are a lot of researches and in fact a lot of master theses have been done on the topic of COVID-19 in the aviation industry. I have attended a lot of educational seminars, a lot of webinars which are related to the topic. So therefore, everything that I have shared with you over there is very relevant, very applicable when it comes to the aviation industry. And you also, after watching this video, might want to jump and have a look. The rejoining cabin crew team or the rejoining process, not only of Qatar Airways, but of Emirates Airlines, of Etihad Airways, of all the airlines in the world, is something that I have always believed in. And if you see my very first videos, I'm emphasizing on the COVID-19 and the aviation industry. You will very clearly see that that is something I always believed is going to happen, even before the chief executive of Qatar Airways has announced that he will take the redundant cabin crew, the laid-off crew back under one circumstance in which everyone's file is going to be checked, and a good performance will be something that is going to determine whether these now candidates or laid-off crew can actually rejoin the company. How the process is going to look like when it comes to rejoining. For those of you that have been previously working, before I come to the other topics that I'm going to elaborate, first I will say that those of you who have been redundant, who have been laid off, and when you will be rejoining, you can expect that there will be a kind of an interview that is going to be happening, because this is what I have received as a feedback from the candidates. Some of the candidates which are actually rejoining cabin crew, those are the crew that did not resign, but they have been laid off. were very keen on learning again questions and answers on before they were scheduled for an interview, where in fact those things actually did not happen. So you most probably are not going to go through a procedure where you would have to answer questions on how to treat customers, or those tricky questions that I have it in my playlist. If you would like to go through it, then you're more than welcome to just refresh your memory and have a look on the playlist called Cabin Crew Questions and Answers. But you would feel, but that's not as it feels. I'm emphasizing again, you would feel that you're in a normal conversation with a Qatar Airways representative when they're gonna call you, when they will schedule call for you, because the one and only thing they're going to be interested in you when you will be called to rejoin the company, they would like to know what were you doing in the meantime. And please don't stress about this if you have not been doing anything, or you were struggling to get a job. I would like to emphasize one thing over here. A room for self-studying is always there. You were looking for a job, or perhaps a job was not available, but yet you can always make your CV when you will make an update version of your CV, because even when you are reapplying to join the company, you will reapply in a way that you're going to prepare an updated version of your CV. You can always write that you were doing a voluntary job, which is related to maybe COVID-19, to the current situation, to a sort of helping, to a sort of learning, maybe an online learning course, or learning and developing a new skills, which perhaps can be a language. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one thing that I always, when it comes to learning, is something that I always emphasize from my very first beginning over here on this social media platforms, on my Instagram account, excrewnextcrew, and over here on my YouTube channel. And if I'm over here talking to you about learning and developing new skills, I do believe that the very same process is something that you can see it in me as well. I'm studying Master Studies in Aviation Management right after I have resigned from Qatar Airways. I have moved to Germany. I have formed a family. That is also a skill that I have developed because I have learned how to become a mother. First, I have carried my daughter for 9 months, but in between all those 9 months that I had, I was studying German language, an intensive course of German language for 6 months during my pregnancy. So the last 3 months of my pregnancy, my German language course was held online. The first 6 months was actually in a school, and the last 3 months of the pregnancy was online. Then right after delivery, it was about 1.5 months after my delivery, I continued on with my German language classes. That is also a skill that I was developing before I have enrolled myself into my master studies into aviation management. And when I was almost a year into my studies of aviation management, I also started to work here. Therefore, if I have a look at my updated version of my CV, I nearly have no gaps after resigning from Qatar Airways. Would I want to rejoin? Definitely, with all my heart. And I would share with you one secret. Right before COVID-19 happened, it was nearly few months after I have resigned, I really missed Qatar Airways, and I still miss Qatar Airways until today, to be very honest. Not Qatar Airways as a company. I was never in love with Qatar Airways. I was in love with my job. I have to be very honest with you. I also have a video on that. I applied to work as a ground staff for Qatar Airways in Düsseldorf. I don't know if you guys know, but before COVID-19 happened, Qatar Airways was planning to start flying to Düsseldorf, and Düsseldorf is a city in Germany. And at that time, I was living only around 100 kilometers from Düsseldorf, and me and my husband, we both decided that if I would get the job and reapply for Qatar Airways, we might move to Düsseldorf if I start working at the airport. However, I think a few months or a month after that happened, my application was in fact frozen, just like many of the cabin crew application, because COVID-19 happened and simply Qatar Airways has not started flying to Düsseldorf. And in fact, as I'm talking to you right now, they also still have not started flying to Düsseldorf yet. And at that time, I was not enrolled into aviation management courses. This was not planned to be shared in this video, and I did never plan to share it in this way, but this is a secret because I always wanted to be in aviation. I always wanted to be around airports and around airlines. And when a chance to be with Qatar Airways again came, knowing the fact that I have learned and grown so much in the company, I decided that I really want to, stay here in Germany as I am and work for Qatar Airways. However, unfortunately, that didn't happen. Right now, we live much far away than Düsseldorf. We live near Hamburg. And I am almost finishing with my exams of my Master Studies in Aviation Management. As soon as I finish also my master thesis, I'm planning to apply for a leadership position at some airport nearby, Hamburg Airport or Rostock Airport. Let's see. I have still not decided in which direction I would go, because you all know aviation is a wide field. But one thing is for sure, I will all keep you updated of what I think I'm going to choose to be the next chapter of my personal development when it comes to aviation. So going back to the topic of the rejoining cabin crew, this is something that I promised at the beginning of this video that I will decide, and I just took a time to share with all of you what do I mean by rejoining and how is my status right now. I would love to go back also and be a cabin crew, but I have a small daughter. She's 1.5 years old, and I cannot leave her in Germany and be based in Doha, because unfortunately Qatar Airways still doesn't have bases for cabin crew around the world. And I think I'm too old now. I'm almost 38. So yeah, the rejoining cabin crew will not go through a official process of getting interview questions and answers. Rather than the recruiters or the human resources representatives are going to call you and they will ask you what you were doing in the meantime. An updated version of your CV, as mentioned, is very important in order to fill those gaps. And I have shared previously an example of how I ensure that I'm fulfilling my gaps, although some women you would see freely taking their 9 months, which is totally fine, and just relax during their pregnancy. This was not the case for me, because I felt that I have to learn German and I have to ensure that I am enrolled into the society as soon as possible. And I just simply thought that sitting at home, and just watching TV series and looking at my stomach growing was not something that I would want for my personal development, as I always declare myself as a workaholic. So definitely, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions which are related of how you can fulfill your gaps, you are more than welcome to contact me on my Instagram account, excrewnextcrew. And today I have actually I have created my profile, excrewnextcrew, on Clubhouse application. I'm very new there and I don't know a lot of things on Clubhouse, but I have created a room which is called Aspiring Cabin Crew. And in fact, I'm going to create a separate room which is going to be related to the rejoining cabin crew or the laid off cabin crew, because your question will be slightly, or if not totally, different than the aspiring cabin crew. And on the Clubhouse application, we can have a more interactive knowledge. And as you know, it's going to be, of course, free of charge, because I work in a hospital here in Germany. My income doesn't come from candidates and my income doesn't come from previous cabin crew, because that is not the reason why I have decided that I want to quit flying. And I always love to use the sentence, I don't want to leave from $20 for webinars and for classes that I will organize, because at one time I might have $2,000 because I might have a lot of candidates, but at one time COVID-19 can happen again and I can be without money. So I think that a more secure future for me is straightening and gaining new skills at the moment. Now let's go back to the freshers. A lot of questions I see out there, and in fact some of the famous Instagram pages which have thousands of likes on photos have also thousands of comments where freshers are applying. Can you apply for this position? Which clearly, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a fresher, you cannot reapply, because you have simply never been with the company to be working with a company to be needed to reapply again. So kindly, I truly believe that this is going to happen when the freshers, when the opportunity for freshers to join will arises. I'm not going to be surprised. My estimations right now, as I'm observing the aviation industry right now at the moment, is that hiring freshers in Qatar Airways particularly might start happening somewhere beginning of next year or mid of next year, because next year we all know 2022 is when the World Cup in Qatar is going to be happening. And inshallah, as they would say in the Arab world, and that is the saying that I very frequently use, inshallah, I would also be in Qatar for the World Cup 2022. So I will be able to see all of you there. So we keep fingers crossed. And this is something that is always in my heart and in my mind, and I pray for all of you. So unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, freshers cannot apply for this position and we have to a bit wait more and, use this time effectively. I'm again emphasizing we must use this time effectively in order to be successful on our next recruitment process. If you have been on training and you have been laid off during training, but you still have not been flying, I would like to clarify very important things. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you that have been on training, you are still not a cabin crew yet. Rather, you're called something as trainees. To become a cabin crew and to be enrolled into the cabin crew, certified cabin crew flying, you would actually have to pass the observation flights right after your graduation. And since those observation flights are something that you have not completed, therefore, I do believe that you would have to reapply again for the company, but most probably you would not have to go through the same application process as the other candidates if this happens in the near future. If you would have to reapply again, let's say in 2 to 3 years from now on, which we do not know, you also have to know that a lot of cabin crew are laid off at this very moment. And no matter how much I would like to be positive and think that by the end of 2022, everyone is going to be back and fly from the redundant cabin crew who were already flying, because before the pandemic happened, Qatar Airways had nearly 13,000 cabin crew. At the very same moment I'm speaking with you right now, there is an amount of 5,000 cabin crew that are flying, which means there are other 8,000 people who would have to be brought back and fly. And these 8,000 cabin crew cannot be, I do believe, cannot be back at once. So this slow, if I may say slow, but this process is actually determined by a lot of factors. And in many of my videos, which are related to COVID-19, to the aviation industry, to the recovery, I spoke to you about the government restrictions. As I'm also speaking to you right now, ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to extend a reminder that the COVID-19 had another mutation, which is the Delta virus, the Delta COVID virus, or whatever they call it. And in many countries around the world, the government restrictions in terms of lockdowns have been brought back. There are a lot of topics where people are talking, or experts in this field are talking that this easiness on the restrictions and the travel restrictions that were previously more imposed and nowadays are slowly disappearing can actually be the risk of increasing the virus once again in September. So this virus, with having mutations and being very hard to be controlled, is something that we cannot predict. I'm connecting this to the other 8,000 cabin crew which have to be brought back. So when you will be asking me the question of when Qatar Airways is going to hire the freshers, I really wish from the bottom of my heart I will be able to give you the answer, the appropriate answer of this question. Yet when I take into consideration the world, what is happening right now, I seriously cannot put such a responsibility on my shoulders, because it will be just, I want to answer your question and forget about it. But rather I would like to make you understand that this requires a multi-dimensional thinking when you will be looking for an answer of such a question. Multi-dimensional means switch on the TV at home and watch the news and see what's happening in the world. If you're from India, watch the news and see what's happening in Europe, see what's happening in USA. If you're from Europe, just check out what's happening in India, check out what's happening in the USA. Check out what's happening in the Far East, for example. It is very important that you do not stick your understanding of the current situation in the country where you are. You should know what's happening in your own country, but you have to understand the world globally. And to understand the world globally, you have to actually research and look for information out there, which you have the access to it as you're watching this video right now. Just make a plan after this video and just, inform yourself about the current situation, the COVID-19, and what are the hot topics around the mutation of the new virus. So again, to summarize, the crew who were on training, you guys have one very important thing in your hands at the moment, and that is that you still have contact with the management. You all had your managers, and you all have a contact to whom you can refer whenever you would like to, get informations, or, send an email and get a feedback of should you reapply again and how things are going to be happening in future. However, the people who were on training can actually use this vacancy that is on the internet now and try your luck and reapply. The same things goes for you as well. If you would like to reapply, do pay attention to what you were doing in meantime when you were laid off until now, because if you get a call, you should be confidently able to answer and to have, of course, an updated version of your CV to show what you were doing during this time when the aviation industry was actually on standby with recruitments, and that was the reason why you actually were laid off. Another thing, ladies and gentlemen, that if you open the webpage, in this case of Qatar Airways, but it's not only limited to Qatar Airways, if you open the webpage of Emirates, if you open the webpage of Etihad to fly Dubai, every airline during this COVID-19 times was struggling with a lot of work. However, they also achieved a lot of successes. And their awards, their individual successes, I'm saying individual in terms of companies, because every company has their individual success. Make sure that you are well familiarized of the road and of the way that this individual company success has been achieved, because later on, when you will be interviewed once again for the airline you would like to work for, irrespective you are a rejoiner, irrespective you are a fresher, one thing that you're supposed to show and display to the human resources team is that you are able to take pride in the achievements of the company that you would like to work for once again, or to work for the first time. One of the values that Qatar Airways has, beside teamwork and beside all the other values out there, which I think in some of my videos I spoke about it, but I emphasize this one as one of the most important. It's called Pride in Qatar, and Pride in Qatar means taking pride of the achievements that the company and the country itself has. So when I say the country, when you will be researching of the achievements of Qatar Airways, for instance, why not familiarize yourself of all the achievements that Qatar as a country had? For the simple reason, Qatar Airways is a company who's owned by the government, by the state of Qatar. So therefore, if you display a knowledge and a pride in what Qatar as a country has done, not only Qatar Airways, I'm very sure that this is going to be something that will impress the human resources teams, and you will be definitely noticed and proceed to the next selection process, whatever that is going to be. We come to the point, if you're a cabin crew just like me who has resigned before COVID-19 happened, and you would like to also reapply again. Although in the vacancy it's written that this vacancy is for the people who were laid off, who were redundant, I do not see any obstacle why you should not apply. It's also an opportunity for you. So if the recruiters find your CV, or if they find your file, because the companies are actually keeping the files of the employees for quite some time, I don't think there is a precise time frame. If you are asking me personally, I think that in Qatar Airways they are keeping the cabin crew files forever, not only for a certain period of time, because now everything is electronic. So why would they delete your file if there is a good place of a database where it can be stored? So if they like your previous work style and you know your previous file, then I think that there are chances that you can also rejoin the company. Previously, before this opportunity to rejoin was there, a lot of laid off and redundant cabin crew were actually sending emails to their respective performance managers, extending their interest to rejoin the company, and a lot of people are also back. So one thing also I would like to emphasize, which I don't think that someone has shared it with you, but I have a lot of friends that are still working in Qatar Airways. Of course, I will have, because I worked for Qatar Airways for 10 years, is that a lot of cabin crew are actually grounded, and they're working on ground duties, and their ground duties are actually extended, believe it or not, until December. So until December, a lot of people are actually working on different departments on the ground, and this simply means that the flying capacity of the airline still has not reached, and it will take some time until it reaches the pre-COVID numbers. And you must understand that reaching the pre-COVID-19 passenger number is not something that Qatar Airways, Emirates, Etihad or Lufthansa would do it by themselves. Reaching the pre-COVID-19 numbers of flights in terms of passenger numbers growing, because we're talking in my social media platforms about the commercial air travel. It is actually something that depends on all the airlines in the world, because aviation industry, as you know, it's an industry where all the airlines in the world are involved. One airline is part of the aviation industry, but one airline doesn't consist the entire aviation industry. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you sincerely for watching this video. And I would also be very happy if you share all your questions, comments below this video. So you will give actually an opportunity for other candidates to learn when they will read your question, because sometimes, you know, we read things that we have been interested previously, but we forgot to comment and things like that. Be part of this social media learning platform in a way that you're going to be actually challenging me, because I think that the way how to grow in this social media platform and to have a personal growth is actually to be challenged. So I'm extending my openness over here. I'm very open to be challenged, and I would be very happy to receive all your questions. Do follow me on excrewnextcrew on my Instagram account, and of course be part of excrewnextcrew on Clubhouse. For the last on this video, click the subscribe button with the notification button on, and I'm going to be seeing you very, very soon. Bye bye and have a nice day.